Here we are again. No Jason. He's on week 11 of vacation this year. But
it's week 16.
Yeah, it's me and you, man. It's just me and you. So today we're gonna have some fun, go through some questions, and see where this journey takes us.
I love podcasts. The last time we went through questions, some of them, they were out there, man. They were like,
oh yeah. I know Joe got into the editing part of the things. He got a lot of pieces cut out of there. Maybe you want to share with the audience.
Yeah, it's funny. I did have some commentary come back about the last podcast that we did. Yeah, it was there's some editing. There's some editing. I guess I'm realizing that it's tough. You become kind of like two people in a way. Like there's me that everybody sees on the coaching calls, and then there's me like with the door closed, and it's a pretty select people that see the real me. Like Ryan, you're one of those guys. Like you and I spend a lot of time together, man. So yeah, you see a lot, and I guess sometimes I get really self-conscious because I get a lot of students and just people that watch our stuff reaching out, and it's just weird to think that so much of my life is out there, and I kind of struggle with it a bit. And I edit some of our stuff because I still struggle with how much should be private and how much should be out there. Jason, he airs. Oh, look at that! There goes the hat. Jason airs it all out, whereas me, I like to kind of play it a little bit closer to the chest.
Yeah, I mean, you only want to share so much, right? So I get it. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that was removed from the last podcast was honestly things that most people could relate to. And at the end of the day, no one can allow you to either put it up or not put it up. You have to feel comfortable with whatever you're putting out there. So I can respect that. I mean, I wish you let it all ride, but maybe that's for another time. Who knows?
Hey, who knows, right? Who knows? And it's just a weird feeling, and I don't know if I'm getting older or I'm realizing actually what I say half the time. And yeah, I think like I'm no different than anybody else. Like I have struggles, I have everything, and it was kind of a rough 2024 has been a bit of a trying year for me. And yeah, some of that stuff at some point I'll probably be a lot more open about. And for now, I just like to kind of put my head down, focus on the task at hand, and that's kind of it. I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. I don't even think I'm explaining it as good as I could be, but no, just a weird thing. Just a personality quirk, I guess. I don't know. I'm a quirky guy.
Yeah, you got your things that you're fixated on, right? You're a big sports guy, and I mean, I know I talked to you yesterday when the Yankees lost, and
see, that's actually why I didn't pick up the phone, because the Yankees won. I mean, ALCS #1 in the books. Carlos Rodon, I mean, locking down 6 innings. Luke Weaver, inning and a half of work. New converted Yankee closer. There was some nukes, some scud missiles hit by Stanton and Soto. So all is looking up for the Yankees, I think. This could be the year, man. This is the year. I've been waiting since 2009.
Well, hey, let's get right into this, man. I got some questions here that we got. And I mean, I want to have a great discussion today around, handling objections, right? Like, what are some of the tools that we teach out in our academy, that some of the acronyms that we follow, right? That really help people. And today on this call, or on this podcast, whatever you want to call it, I thought maybe we could break down a few of them and just explain like exactly what they are, how they work, and how to use them effectively inside of a conversation, and see where it goes from there.
Love it, man. Before we get going, how are you doing? You got a big trip coming up.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just getting ready for my 2024 hunting trip. So looking forward to that. I'm going to be going away with someone that I've never gone on one of these trips with before. So that will be new. Happens to be my cousin. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, for me, the trip is really all about memories. Like that's what it is for me. Getting out there, spending time with people that you like, and and having really cool stories to tell when you get back.
Oh,
Right,
definitely. And who knows, maybe you'll shoot Bigfoot.
man. If I see Bigfoot, you'll know. You'll know. You'll be the first person I tell. Don't worry.
Oh boy. Nice. And then you're going with a lot of people actually probably even know him, Freddie Wicks.
Yeah,
So our client, one of our client care managers, who's actually your first cousin.
yeah, you got it, man. My first cousin, and so yeah, we got a little bit of a thing going. I'm gonna have to break the news to him. Any work talk, there's a $50 fine per day. Any mention of work, period, let this be known. There'll be a $50 charge. So I might just make money on my first hunting trip ever. I might actually make money versus spend a lot of money.
Nice. Good for
So
you.
I'm looking forward to it. Nonetheless, I mean, it's going to be a great time. We're going out to the backside of Summerland in the Okanagan. It's going to be anywhere from -10 to -20. We are typically in a fifth wheel, and this time we will be staying in a tent. So, yeah, wish me the best of luck. We'll
But
be in
it's
a
like a certified outdoor camping tent, though, right?
no, not really. It's a nice fishing tent with a
No
tarp
wonder why
over
I
it.
know
We
it.
got a diesel heater. We got proper equipment. I'm a light packer though. Like I just
No, you're not.
figure it out.
That's not your garage.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have to bring, and it's always good to be prepared versus underprepared. So we'll see how it all pans out, man. But I'm looking forward to it. Nonetheless, we're gonna have an amazing time and build some really cool memories. And yeah, it's Freddie's second time going hunting, so we'll see what happens. You never know.
Never know. Like I said, Bigfoot's back on the menu.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So let's flip into it. Let's talk about AERC.
I love your transition. Let's flip into it. So first thing to understand is, handling objections over the phone is a whole lot different than handling them in person. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that. Handling over the phone, you want to be short, concise, and transition to an open-ended question. Whereas handling them in person, because you've got some rapport, there's just there's some trust, that belly to belly, power in physical presence. I think that it's a whole different process, and that process is defined as AERC. A is acknowledge, E is explore, R is recommend, C is check for satisfaction. So as we're going through AERC, it's really important. Number one, the first thing you want to do is acknowledge the potential objection. You know what, Ryan? I'm really glad you brought that to my attention. Here's why that question should make you nervous. Hey, Ryan, I'm really happy that you mentioned that. I hope you mentioned this to all the agents that you're going to be talking to over the next few weeks. So it's not sidestepping, right? It adds that layer of empathy. I hear you. I'm listening. I can understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. So it's a level of acknowledgement. E is for explore. Ask questions. Be genuinely curious. What is this about? So, for example, if we're arguing about commission, is this really about the commission, or is it about how much you're going to qualify for? Is this about commission, or is it just, hey, you know what? I want to make sure I get the most money from my house as possible. What is this really about? So, in exploring, you want to ask open-ended questions to kind of get to what the root of the problem or the root of the objection actually is. Once you've understand that, make a recommendation. Hey, knowing what I know, it makes sense. And be bold. I think a lot of people, this is kind of where they fall apart, is there's a difference between aggressive and assertive. And when you're making a recommendation, you cannot be aggressive, you need to be assertive. When you're aggressive, that's when you get those old school, hey, if I can, will you? That a lot of real estate coaches teach. So again, it's about finessing it. Right? Being assertive, not aggressive, lowering a level of sales resistance. C, check for satisfaction. Does that make sense for you, Ryan? What other questions do you think you might have? So with that being said, hey, we okay to move forward? So
Right.
as I was saying, and then proceeding down and sticking with your process. It's
Mhm.
AERC.
So let's break it down. Like that's a great way to like explain how it all works. Man, my chair is so bloody squeaky. Every time I move, all I can hear is my chair. So let's break it down. Say I was to hit you with a commission objection. I'm in your house, or you're in my house. We're chatting together. You're doing a listing presentation, and I just say to you, like, "Hey, Joe, you know what, man? I really like everything you're showing me, but I'm going to be honest with you. Another guy that I'm working with has offered to discount his rate to earn our business. Is that something that you're able to do?"
Okay, so I'm going to break it down. Okay, I'll make this super simple. Acknowledge. You know what, Ryan? I'm really happy that you're bringing this to my attention. I really hope you bring this to the attention of any agent that you're working with or any agent that you're going to recommend. I like this. You know, Ryan, I'm really enjoying the fact that we're about to have this conversation. I appreciate it. So acknowledge. Would you be opposed to me sharing with you as to why this should make you nervous?
No, not at all.
So let me ask you, is this about my commission or is this about netting the most amount for your home?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I figure if I can get a better deal on the commission, I'm going to make more money.
Okay. So it sounds like this is really about netting the most amount in your pocket from the sale of your home, your largest asset.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Right. So now I've explored what is this actually about? Oh, you agents are all overpaid and it's just not right. Right. What is this about? So now it's about getting the most amount for your home. I know that now. So I'm going to change how I approach it. So here's where I would say I've acknowledged it. I've explored it. I'm going to make a recommendation. You know what, Ryan? Let me tell you something. You are paying me a fair market rate for my negotiation and my marketing skills. How I negotiate your home is of the utmost importance. So let me tell you something. Me being in real estate, this is how I put food on my table. My negotiation skills are what pay my bills and they feed my family. If I can not commit to my own skill, my own craft, and I walk away from my commission, I've already lost. And in your eyes, I've lost in negotiation. You're paying me a fair market rate based on, again, my negotiation skill and how well I'm going to negotiate the sale of your home. My job is to put the most amount of money in your pocket. How do you think I'm going to act if I've already lost in negotiating for my own worth? How am I going to act when tough offers come in and I need to work with seasoned, veteran, tenured agents? If I can't articulate my worth, how can I articulate the worth of you, the seller, or you inside that beautiful home of yours? And for that, Ryan, I charge a fair market rate. Does that sound about right?
Love it.
Okay. Check for satisfaction, move on. What are the questions think you might have?
Yeah.
Boom, away you go. So you kind of hit me with a spot on that one. It was a little bit rambly. I mean, for me, I would shrink it down and condense it, but that was a good one to hit me on the spot, man, for
Oh
sure,
man.
right? But
Yeah.
even though it was rambly, still had all the elements. AERC.
Hey man, what do you think? One of the most common What do you think one of the most common roadblocks are that agents run into with online leads? And like when we look at all the agents that we work with, right? And you see their skills come in and where they're at, what do you think the number one roadblock is for people?
I think the number one roadblock, honestly, it's commitment. I'm
Hmm.
going to get on the phone and I'm going to call these leads. It's the least sexy job that everybody does in real estate. Everybody
Right.
thinks this like negotiating deals, driving white BMWs, like that's kind of where people see the industry. But what they don't see is the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes. And to me, that is first and foremost behind the scenes work. It's the one thing that nobody wants to do consistently. Everybody wants to go to heaven, Ryan, but nobody wants to die. People want the deals, but they don't want to work for them. So I
Right.
would say the number one thing that I see is lack of consistency and accountability. Everybody has a sphere, everybody has a database, but not everybody has a bank of online leads. And I'd say 80% of the people I see with online leads, they sit on them.
Mm.
Speed to lead suffers. Those clients then sign up to another site if they haven't already, and then all is lost, right? They're on with somebody else. You don't need to be the sharpest on the phone. You need to have some script, some process. You don't need to be that sharp, but what you do need to do is you need to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I see people fall apart in lead conversion. Speed to lead on the initial conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in a way. I think there's really more than just one part to the equation, right? Like speed
Yeah.
to lead is definitely extremely important when you're dealing with any online leads, because it's just higher intent. The quicker you get to them, makes sense, right? It's kind of like someone coming into a car dealership and looking at a vehicle, and you've got them in the vehicle. Well, as soon as they leave, guess what? There's so many other distractions along the way that can pull them away from actually taking a really good look at your vehicle, or you getting them into your process where you can work them through that and make sure it's the right fit and the deal works and all that stuff. When I look at online leads, I think even on the coaching side, right? Let's shelf the real estate side for a second, but the coaching side, speed to lead, yes, one important part. Lead conversion process, equally as important, right? Getting the lead, and I see this a lot of people investing on online leads, 500, 600,000, $2,000 a month, or in some cases, team leaders. And they're investing in a lot of opportunities, but the opportunities aren't having speed to lead and they aren't having great conversion. And when it comes down to conversion, really, a few bad questions can kill the conversation before it even starts,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, speed to lead is just it's and consistency is one part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
One. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like asking if you're sort of breaking down the process and going further down the line. Yeah, I mean, handling objections is one.
Right.
Being able to have the mindset to overcome the amount of no's that you're going to get is something else. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right in that point. That's what stalls a lot of people out. Just not having a process in general. Like, I don't know what to say.
Right. Yeah. And, when I look at like our skills training and our scripting and the stuff that we do, I kind of have like my three favorite type of questions, right? Boom, boom, boom. What are your three favorite questions that we have inside of our open-ended questions that we ask?
Wow, that's a good one. So, first and foremost, my absolute favorite question is, so what is it about your home that's not working for you? I had you signing up on our site today.
Yeah. Or
Great.
exploring other options.
Yep, money question. Now, what it does is it transitions from, in some cases, an objection into that first open-ended question, opens up the conversation. It's very broad. It's very non-committal. Like and again, it's just that it is that true open-ended question. You're seeking to understand. Plus, it helps you uncover the why. If you can
Mm.
understand somebody's why, well, then it's not if they're going to move. It's when they're going to move. So
Right.
uncover that why. Another one that I really really like is, so who's going to be making this move with you? Oh, it's myself and my spouse Ashley. Oh, okay. Here's the question. So let me ask you, Ryan, how does Ashley feel about this move coming up?
Yeah.
Right, starting
I,
to find out,
I
okay, who,
agree.
who else is involved and how do they feel about it?
Right.
Now, the last question that I like more than anything else is, so let's say we were going to walk through a home, Ryan, me, you, and Ashley, and we find a home that ticks all the boxes. In your mind, what are the next logical steps that need to happen for you and Ashley to feel comfortable making this move? I love that.
I'm laughing over here because I made a piece of content today around my three favorite questions. And those were the exact three favorite questions that I
Oh,
had.
really?
Yeah.
Oh man, we've been hanging out too much.
Yeah.
I actually watched about 20 seconds. I didn't even think I watched that much. I watched about 2 seconds of the content, and then the lighting was so off that I couldn't.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it lost me, bud.
You know what? You were recording on a potato for like a year and a half. So one day. It's funny though. you look at those questions, right? What was it about your current home that wasn't quite working for you that had you exploring other options? Amazing opener. Allows people to like tell you actually what's wrong with their house,
Mhm.
right? Because if you can find the pain, you can find the relief, right? And really, at the end of the day, a person making a move like that, they have a wife, 2 kids, a dog, 3 cats, or in your case 4 cats. There's a big transition from one place to the next, right? Moving everything, and obviously something has to be not ideal for them to make the move, right? People don't just move because they like the house and it's the same size and all the same things. Like they
Yeah,
move for
I
a
mean,
reason.
it's very rare that you'll find somebody that'll do like a complete lateral move, like
Yeah.
move for the sake of moving. So
Maybe location.
yeah,
Maybe
I agree. It
location.
has to be something. And the whole point of finding somebody's why and finding it out early on in the game is human nature tells us that nobody will seek to move towards pleasure until they've experienced an insurmountable amount of pain. So understand that why. Understand what's not going to change between now and then.
Right.
So that'll always and always keep that as a bit of a motivator for them.
Yeah. And then the second question, who else is going to be making this move with you is a great way for you to actually get the information. If that person says, "Oh, my wife and 2 kids," oh, perfect. How long you been married for? Amazing. What's your wife's name? Okay. How old are the kids? Like, actually engage. Don't just think about what the next question is. Like, get deeper in the conversation. Start to understand, know a little bit more, right? Like, kids are in grade 10 and 11. Okay. A little bit older. They've been married for 15 years. Okay. Perfect. You're putting all the pieces together, right? You're getting more intel. And then that third question is probably my favorite, right? Like, it literally tells you pretty much everything that you need to know. Tells you if they're looking to rent their house,
Mhm.
sell it, right? If you ask the question properly at the right timing, it opens up the door of you understanding if they're working with an agent or if they have been pre-approved or talked to a lender, right? It gives them the ability to share with you what's been going on behind the scenes.
This gives you a glimpse as to as to what the roadblocks potentially could be down the road.
What do you think you can do? Can you share some tips to agents out there so their follow up, they're not feeling like they're being pushy?
Hmm.
How can agents follow up efficiently without being pushy?
That's a really great question. So I think number one is even by using the word follow up, like I'm not a huge fan of that word. To me, it's I'm chasing, I'm chasing, I'm chasing, I'm chasing. One thing that you can do to not feel pushy when you're doing follow up or circling back as promised, as I like to say, is booking a meeting from a meeting. Always plan a next course of action and be able to provide value. So rather than, well, call me if you see anything, and then, okay, 3 days goes by, well, I better follow up. Hey, Ryan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be circling back in 3 days to see how you're settling into the site and make a plan around a lot of the properties that you selected. So do me a favor, would you? I'd like you to favor your top 5 properties. The ones that are like 7 out of 10s to 8 out of 10s. I know there's probably no 10 out of 10s out there because I believe the perfect house doesn't exist, but we're going to find something that matches your needs. So again, it makes sense that I circle back on Thursday. We build a plan around those homes, me, yourself, and Ashley. How does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Book a meeting from a meeting. Then you're delivering on a commitment as promised, not following up. Following up is chasing. So we can either chase prospects or we can build a plan alongside them.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, and I think when you look at that question, right? How do you not be pushy, right? How do you feel like you're not pushy when you're following up? I totally agree with you with what you're saying. The second part to the equation is taking the first part of our call here and taking that and putting it into action, right? It's all about really having a good, genuine start to the conversation, right? If it's very surface level stuff that you're asking and you're just being a salesperson and you're kind of just working through the questions as fast as you can get through them, right? And you're not comfortable with your skills, then what happens is you really don't gain a lot of inventory when it comes to what the person's saying to you, right? Like you don't know maybe why they're moving, right? You've just tried to find out time, location, if they're pre-approved, if they're working with an agent. You've asked all the wrong questions, so that now when you go to follow up, you have no substance. Does that make sense?
Lack of value.
Yeah. Lack of value.
These two. So there's a lot of facets to that question. And I think sometimes, it's funny, like we don't teach sales.
No.
At all. We teach an advisory mindset through structured practice. Like that's we're a skills-based training company. Let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important, again, to practice those skills, practice adding value, and really remove that term follow-up from your vocabulary. Circling back as committed, presenting value consistently. When you've committed, you're going to show up. But every call should end with a next step. That eliminates follow-up out of the equation.
Right. So, hey, Joe, the next logical steps are for us to jump on a Zoom call on Wednesday before we meet on Friday.
You got it.
Putting that next step in place. I love that. And it's funny, a lot of people that go through our course, that is something that a lot of them aren't doing. Right? So if you reverse engineer that and think about what it really looks like, right? You get a person, you ask them a bunch of questions, that person moves into the waiting spot. There's no other meeting set, right? Now, what's that person doing when there's no meeting set?
You tell me, man.
They're looking on the internet, man. They're a keyboard warrior out there trying to figure it out on their own. They don't have an advisor helping them, right? They're working with a salesperson. Right? That's where the shift comes in, right? Advisor is pre-planning ahead, setting meetings, booking a meeting from a meeting, moving clients along through the next logical step in their process. Salespeople are not doing that, right? They're just moving, asking the questions. Okay. Now the person is sitting still. Then you have to do that awkward follow-up, right? It's not the reconnecting at that point. It is trying to follow up. And what's the worst case scenario when you follow up with someone after 2 weeks and be letting them just sit there?
Ryan, this has been amazing. I'm actually going out with Joe Moretti from the Sims Real Estate Group. Really appreciate you following up, though.
It's true, man. And for anyone listening, sorry, but that's the reality. That's what's happening out there. And you may be sitting there listening to this podcast going, yeah, that's happened to me. And if it has, well, you can change it. You just got to work on the skills. You got to have better processes. And that's what it all comes down to, man.
For sure. We got time for another question?
Got time for any question. You want to ask a question?
No, man. I know.
I feel like I'm the questionnaire here. I'm the guy asking all the questions today.
Yeah. What are you, when we look back and look at our Agent Academy, what do you think are some of the most valuable skills people learn?
Man, that is a good question.
Of course it was. I thought of it.
Touche. 2.5 years ago, man, honestly, when I joined you and Jason, I had a very different perception of what life was like as a real estate agent. It's the truth. I did. So, when people are in the role, they're so consumed in all the things they're doing that they sometimes forget that what perception is to people, right? And I'm not talking about you showing up dressed nice, you wearing, a nice pair of shoes or pants or driving a nice car. I'm talking about the perception that people have when it comes to you taking money from them, right? Perception versus value, right? So here's an example. I was at a trade show last week. Okay. I was at a trade show helping a buddy of mine. We're selling hot tubs. I met a lady and her husband. They had just moved here. And so, of course, I asked, how was your experience in real estate, and who's the agent that you ended up working with? I'm not going to name any names, but one of the agents was an agent that we've worked with in the past here in Nanaimo, not part of our brokerage team, any of that. And perception was that, oh, it was okay, but they got a large paycheck and then we never heard from them. Right? So here's perception. So just so everyone remembers what this is like, a lot of people out there don't realize how hard you maybe are working to get your next deal, or how hard you've worked over the last 3 months and not transacted, right? Or maybe it's the other way around and you've got a lot of deals and you just can't keep up. But the perception of your clients is very important. Because if you're going to ask them to refer you their friends and their family, there needs to be a relationship there. It can't just basically be transactional. Most likely, that agent probably won't transact with those people ever again. Mm-hmm. And based on their experience, he was okay, but then it was over after that, right? And so, some people take that differently, right? And that's the cool thing about what we teach in our program. So we teach people really how to stay connected as good humans, right? Like that's something that we focus on. And sometimes people take that information we give them and they practice it and they preach it and they make sure they do it all the time. And sometimes they get it, do it for a short period of time, and then they stop. But real estate transactions, they really only happen if there's a relationship there, mm-hmm. right? That's how it happens, right? They start from a relationship. They start from you building common ground. So why not continue to grow that after the fact? So for me, I think some of the biggest things, number one, really creating that long lasting relationship, right? Like the person that sold me my first house, I still talk to them here and there, right? They check in on me every once in a while. Right. And that person's not even really in real estate anymore.
Is it the same guy that spelled your name wrong on the closing gift?
There's no name on it, but it said it's together was spelled wrong. Yes. But I wouldn't have known because I'm horrible at spelling. So it's all good. It's the thought that counts, Joe. It's the thought.
There you go.
The second thing that I think we really have the most impact with people is skills training. Like it's amazing seeing people's skills go from one to the next. Like I can name handfuls and handful of students that have come to skills training, barely can go through the script. And now we're throwing 2 and 3 objections at them and they're coasting through it, but still getting the did well in the next time feedback. Right. And I think that's so important when you and I are on there, right? Or anyone else's skill training, I still always get did well next time feedback. I'm never going to be a master. You have to continue to practice consistently to get the results. And I think that's one of the most impactful things we do. And then the last thing is we've basically broken it down, right? Over 12 weeks and cover every piece. So a lot of the stuff people don't know or they don't learn when they get their license, right? They have access to. They can practice it consistently so they get the repetition to go out there and do it. But more importantly, what I like is that the stuff that we're teaching is the same stuff that works in the world that we're in today. Mm-hmm. It's not like outdated and antiquated stuff.
Yeah, it's very relevant.
Yeah,
for sure. So if people want to find out more about what we do, our Agent Academy, they want to find out more about like the structure, process, and the discipline that we implement in businesses all day long. Ryan, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can just reach out to us directly, right? info@simscoachingsystems.com. We'll reach right back out as soon as we get it. Speed to lead, baby.
And if people want to learn more about the hunting excursion, if you and Freddie had to like cuddle up, where can they go to find out about that?
Oh, we're going to have to wait till the next podcast. I'm sure I'll spill any details. I'll have some great stories for everyone.
Love it, man. Love it.
We won't show any graphic pictures of Freddie or anything like that. but yeah, it'll be pretty straightforward, man. So yeah, a little bit of a shorter one today, but yeah, I think there's some good stuff there, man. What are you most thankful for this year, since it was just Thanksgiving in Canada?
Right. Yeah. It was just Thanksgiving in Canada. What am I most thankful for? That's a really great question because I think that, I'm a pretty blessed individual. Like I have is what I see as like I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I'm blessed with an amazing wife, amazing kids, a great support system. I think I don't want to say more than anything else. It's not quite what I meant to say, but one thing that I think has been highlighted for me, especially over the last year, are good friends. I think you don't need many. You don't need many. You just need one or two that you can count on in a pinch. You need that one friend that if your toilet springs a leak, he's going to help you come over and cut out the top of your drywall. Just that one person that is never going to let you down, and for that I'm grateful. So I'm going to say good friends is what I'm really grateful for right now.
Cool, man. I love that.
What about you, buddy?
I'm grateful for a lot of things, man. I have a lot to be grateful for. I can't even list all the things, and some of the things are so personal that I just never share them. But I think for me, friends, family, people that I'm close with, right? I'm thankful that we have some amazing people that we've surrounded ourselves around, and I think that's one of the biggest highlights to our program is the amount of people that you meet. Right? Like you can meet some really amazing people that you collaborate with and build relationships. Heck, we've had people go through our program and build teams out of 2 or 3 people. Right. So grateful for the people I'm surrounded around, grateful for, everyone in our circle, my family, my kids, all the same stuff. Right. But also grateful to be healthy, man. There's a lot of people out there that, have a lot of health struggles, and, my grandma's getting old, your grandma's getting old. I mean, there's a lot of people, out there that are getting old. Now, your grandma, on the other hand, she's an amazing lady.
That's next level old. Yeah. 93 years young.
Drinking whiskey with boys.
Still going, still calls me out on my shit. So
yeah, totally, man.
So
well, Joe,
I'll tell you, man, it's interesting working from home. Like people want a glimpse of what it looks like behind the scenes right now. I don't know if it's still here, but yeah.
You let the cat out of the bag, Joe.
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. So this cat has like some kind of weird separation anxiety. I can't have my door closed most of the time because it screams.
And Jen can't have her suitcase open.
Yeah, right. This is the one that peed in Jen's suitcase thinking it was mine and I was going away. So this cat screams when I close the door. It screams when I'm on calls. So yeah, I have Minnie is her name. And for some reason, I don't know if this thing thinks I'm its mom. But yeah, so there you go. Behind the scenes.
Appreciate everyone that's listening. And until next time.
Later, Zinger.
Later, buddy.